Somebody. Okay.
Were you drinking my water?
Mm-hmm.
You wiped your lipstick off at least? Is this a hot mic?
It is.
Get out.
All right, we ready?
Give me 2 seconds. I just got my.
Wouldn't this be nice?
This is really nice. But the mic isn't there. The mic's not there.
Yeah. It's
What? I know. Can you just cover me a second? We're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you. I don't always like to use the gavel, so thanks for quieting down. So I'd like to call to order the October 10th, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting. Note the presence of all 3 commissioners. I'd like to have Dottie Miller lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Montgomery Township. It's great to be hosting our second Commissioners on the Road meeting here in the North Penn area. We also brought, as you saw when you walked in, many county services with us today, so make sure that you check them out if you haven't already. Eric's RX Shop is here providing flu and COVID vaccines for the next hour until 7 p.m. And Commissioner Makija and I got ours at the last meeting, so we're already vaccinated. We also have our voter services team here helping people register to vote and process mail-in ballots, including our new mobile voter services satellite office, which you probably saw parked right out front. Our Community Connections Navigates team is on site to assist people that are here tonight with navigating and accessing our county services, ranging from housing, food security, mental health, and addiction services, and so much more. If you or a loved one has a question, please stop by. Our navigates are fantastic, and there are so many resources and services available that you may not be aware of. And I hope that many of you have had the chance to engage with our amazing Planning Commission as they work on the new 2050 Montco Comprehensive Plan. You'll hear more about the Planning Commission later in our agenda. And last but not least, I want to give a special thank you to Montgomery Township for hosting us this evening. We are grateful for your partnership. I'd like to thank the Township Board of Supervisors, Chairwoman Candace Camara. Is she here? No? Okay. Vice Chairwoman Audrey Ware, who I know just got married. There you are. Congratulations. Tanya Bamford, thank you for being here. Annette Long, thank you for being here as well. And Beth Staub, who is not able to be here. And of course, we couldn't do these types of programs without amazing staff, and that's no different here in Montgomery Township. So Derek Mueller, he's probably out working hard. Okay, Derek, thank you for helping us set things up. And Carolyn McCreary, thank you as well. And thanks all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. Next, I'd like to talk about and remind everyone that the month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. According to the Pennsylvania Breast Cancer Coalition, an average of 37 women, that's 37 women in Pennsylvania, are diagnosed with breast cancer every day. When found early, the 5-year survival rate is almost 99%. That's why annual mammograms are recommended for women beginning at the age of 40. And I had mine actually last month. So this is your reminder if you're over 40. The first bill Governor Shapiro ever signed into law eliminated costs associated with breast MRIs, ultrasounds, and genetic testing for high-risk Pennsylvanians on state-regulated health insurance plans. This law is rolling out through 2024 and 2025 and must be in full effect by the end of next year. If you have insurance through the marketplace or your employer, contact your insurance to see it in effect. If you are uninsured or underinsured, the PA Health Department might be able to provide no-cost mammograms and screenings through their early detection program. So, another reminder, if you are 40 and older, please schedule your annual mammogram. October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which calls us to raise awareness to the impact that domestic violence has on our communities. Last week, I toured one of Laurel House's transitional housing complexes, where survivors of domestic violence can live and continue to receive support and services as they rebuild their lives from the trauma of abuse. It was incredibly moving to be there and an inspiring experience. I want to thank Laurel House for the opportunity to always see firsthand the work that they do to support families and individuals who have escaped violence. As a commissioner, I have always emphasized and shared the importance of lifting up our most vulnerable community members. So tomorrow, my colleagues and I will be joined by our Pathonetary Noah Marlier and representatives from the Laurel House and Play and Learn to recognize Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We will be highlighting the investments the county has made to support families with young children who have been affected by domestic violence. The county has committed significant funding to partner with Laurel House, Play and Learn, the Pathonetary's office, and our court care facility here, there at 1 Montgomery, to help our youngest residents impacted by domestic violence. Today is October 10th, as we all know, is World Mental Health Day. This is a global campaign, and this year's theme is mental health in the workplace. Montgomery County is one of the county's largest employers. And in my role as commissioner, I want to continue to find ways to support our employees both in the workplace and beyond. This includes recognizing our staff on commemoration days and for great achievements, both individual and department-wide. We've also taken steps to support employees beyond the workplace. This includes our enhanced paid parental leave policy. It also includes new offerings this open enrollment period, including assistance to offset childcare and dependent care costs, adding fertility coverage to all of our health plans, and support for other health and wellness needs. For employees who need support with stress or mental health, the county also offers an employee assistance programs that they can call for counseling, support, and more. And I would encourage any of our county staff of taking advantage of these many benefits. We know that stress and mental health can be affected by many different external factors, and we want our employees to feel supported in many different ways. I will continue to outreach across departments to facilitate ways in which we can support our county staff. And I hope that Montgomery County can be a model for other employers to follow. And like one thing I want to mention is the theme for World Mental Health Day is mental health in the workplace. So that's why I share all of that. And a couple more comments, and then I'll let my colleagues say a couple words. Monday, October 14th is Indigenous Peoples Day. County buildings and offices will be closed. We honor the indigenous communities and tribal nations of the Americas, including the approximately 1,400 citizens of Native heritage living in Montgomery County today. We recognize that the Lenape people lived here in the Delaware Valley for thousands of years before Montgomery County was ever established. We are reminded of the impact and contributions of indigenous communities and cultures throughout our region with Lenape place names such as Taliesin, Perkiomen, Wissahickon, and Wallakamike. I had to learn how to pronounce that at Creekside Park, which I had the honor of visiting earlier this summer. Next, October is also Italian Heritage Month, and I'm proud to announce a special program the county is hosting on Wednesday, October 23rd at 9:30 a.m. in the board meeting in the boardroom at 1 Montgomery Plaza, where we usually hold our meetings. Dr. Giussi Russo, a professor at our Montgomery County Community College, will host a presentation exploring the struggles of early Italian immigrants and their significant contributions to building American cities, the economy, and American culture. Please join us as we celebrate Italian American culture. And I'd like to thank Commissioner DeBello, Donna Richmond, our Chief of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and Gabrielle Preet, who we see over here, for creating this public event. And that concludes my comments, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Makija.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's great to see so many people at our meeting here in this wonderful facility. Thank you to our Montgomery Township supervisors, to Tanya, Annette, and Audrey. Thank you so much for hosting us here, and congratulations again. Couple things that I want to highlight is one, just some of the great work the county and the township have done together in recent years. So one great example is right down the street, Stump Road Bridge. In 2023, the county funded a complete rehab of this bridge, and it's one of, I think, 130 bridges that has needed to happen to or needs to happen to. And in 2022, as part of the county's transportation program, the township was awarded about $271,000 to install flashing lights on 2 state-owned roads to provide pedestrian access to Spring Valley Park and Windlestray Park. Is that right? And there's a lot of work that the Planning Commission has done with the supervisors on renewable energy. I know the township has adopted the Ready for 100 renewable energy resolution, which is part of a national movement working towards 100% clean renewable energy for all. So I want to commend the township on that and look forward to working on more initiatives in infrastructure and with the Planning Commission on clean energy goals. So on elections, you saw the voter van is parked outside this meeting. If you want to step out to register to vote, everyone is welcome to do that. You can request your mail-in ballot. You can submit it on the spot. It's really something fantastic. And I want to share the numbers, which is that Montgomery County actually has almost the highest rate of actually it has the highest rate of returns in terms of mail-in ballots. So 40% of people have already returned their ballots, and 57,000 people have voted or cast their ballot, at least submitted it to the county in Montgomery County. For comparison, Philadelphia, which is twice as big, 46,000 people have done so. Allegheny's beating us by a little bit, but they're also much larger. But I'm proud of the work that we've done with voter services. I'm proud of our team. You all may have seen in the primary ballots got to you probably a week before the election. We instead had 6 weeks for people to start submitting their ballots for the general, and that was the earliest in the Commonwealth. And I should give an update because there are some people who did not want us to act so efficiently, and we got a lawsuit by the Republican National Committee that claimed that we hadn't done testing of our machines, when it turned out we did test our machines. We made that clear through a filing in court, and the RNC withdrew its injunction petition just earlier this week. So all of the ballots will be counted. Everyone should feel confident that your ballots will be counted, that our machines were tested appropriately. The Department of State called the lawsuit frivolous. So I think it's important for us to state that clearly. So anyone requesting a mail-in ballot should feel confident that your vote will be counted, as long as you sign and date the outside properly and put it in the secrecy envelope. Remember that. Beyond voting, just like to share a couple other details. So I'm looking forward to the press conference tomorrow for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I also visited Mission Kids last Friday and really want to commend Leslie, their executive director, and the whole team. They do an extraordinary job in Montgomery County and really are a national model for their advocacy for children who face sexual abuse and a variety of traumas that they provide therapy for, and they work alongside law enforcement to ensure that that justice is served where necessary, and they also make sure that kids are on a path to recovering from what they've experienced. And we have, I think, $2 million that were contributed towards the new facility for a training center for Mission Kids that's going to be used.
The recovery funds, yeah.
Yeah, of ARPA funds from the county. And that's going to be used to train law enforcement professionals and child advocates from across the country. And it's going to be the only one of its kind in the Northeast in the country. So that's something really to be proud of, in the work that they're doing advocating for children here in Montgomery County and training officials across the country. So I'll conclude just by wishing all of our Jewish friends and neighbors a meaningful Yom Kippur, which starts tomorrow evening, which is the last of the high holy days that began with Rosh Hashanah last week. It's traditionally a time for repentance in the Jewish faith, but it's also a time to think intentionally and set goals. It's something we can all work on, whether we observe or not. And I just want to wish everyone an easy fast for those who are observing, and meaningful observance. So with that, I will turn it over to Commissioner DeBella.
Well, I'm going to go pretty quick here since we covered a lot of material so far. Good evening, Montgomery Township. This is exciting. This is our as mentioned, this is our second county commissioner meeting on the road. I'm glad to see a nice turnout. And for those of us that were trying to get here from Norristown, it was some task. So this is and believe me, going back into Norristown is just as hard. So I'm glad that we're able to come out here and give people the opportunity to attend a commissioner meeting. And I look forward to us doing more of these next year as well. I can't believe we're almost 1 year in as our first year in office. But a lot of good stuff, a lot of exciting things have been happening. I'll just give one update real quick. The Erie Street, or the Oak County Prison, we had an open house earlier this week. It was attended by the community to get their input on the project. There was a great turnout. There was probably somewhere between 25 plus people there offering their opinions on the project. We want to thank everyone who came out and shared their thoughts and ideas at the open house. So it's good to see that we give the community opportunity to come in and talk about ideas that they may have as we take on different projects. We've done that also earlier this month, I believe it was, where with the library that we are in the process of remodeling and redoing, and we want to get the community's input as well related to ideas and thoughts as we build out the scope for what the new Norristown Library will continue to be and what it could be as we move forward. So we're really looking forward to seeing where we go with preserving some of the historic building on Erie Street, as well as building out the rest of the lot as far as addressing community needs. Some of the things that we've talked about is a parking garage, office building, some maybe residential living, retail. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to take a parcel that's been aged and turn it into something amazing in the future. As mentioned, you already covered Italian Heritage Month. This was something that I wanted to see happen in Montgomery County. I'm glad that we're moving forward with this. In Norristown and around Norristown, there's been so many influential Italian heritage that was part of building the community in the early days. So it's great that we're recognizing such a strong cultural population throughout not only Norristown, but throughout Montgomery County. And this is year one, and hopefully we kind of get started this year. And next year we plan, since it's all came together, hopefully next year we plan out even some additional activities throughout Norristown and beyond. So it's really exciting to see this come together as well. And that's pretty much, I have other stuff that I'll bring up later. So just great. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, we'll move next to our announcements, commendations, and presentations. I'd like to invite Barbara Allen and Lauren Lebendig to the podium. They're going to be introducing our new Monco Votes stickers. The podium. Yeah, you're going to go to the podium right here. Yeah, there you go. Hey, Barbara,
At the
you
podium.
can just go to the podium and then they can
There
show.
you go.
Perfect.
Although you can't see it on the TV.
Good evening, everybody. You see in front of us
Oh.
students from
So-
Norristown Public Schools. I'd like to introduce you to,
Steve.
starting with the youngest, because you probably always get to be last because you're young. This is Elisa Chavez, her sister Penelope Chavez, and Lauren Lebendig. And these three young women are part of Fresh Artists Art Stars, who are making art, have been making art for 2 years. We have to bring them food. 2 years making art for the new Justice Center. And the reason that happened is I was introduced to one of the judges who loves art and put art in the old courthouse. And she loved the idea of having the children of Montgomery County basically decorating a lot of the inside of this building. And that's what we've been working on. But in order to do that, we have to have a team. So we put together a team and called them the Justice Art Stars. And they're mostly girls. I don't know why, but we're looking for some boys. And there, something came up very quickly. The whole point of Fresh Artists, it's a nonprofit started in 2008 because art teachers in all over the world, there were lots of art teachers and they had no materials to work with. We saw that. I'd like to introduce my son, Roger Allen, is co-founder with Fresh Artists with his mother. Can you imagine working for 17 years with your mother? It's just a miracle. But I'm the front man and he's the brains and the designer. So everything you see here is designed by Roger. We found out that the kids needed to have something to do and that they could help raise money for art materials. So the premise of Fresh Artists, it's a nonprofit, and it supplies art materials to any art teacher in America in a school that is 70% or higher free and reduced lunch. So we operate in public schools, but in very, very high poverty public schools, that end of the equation, not just Title I. And one of the greatest premises is to tell the children that they can take their art off the refrigerator and out to work to change the world. So everything that they do, they don't get to make art for fun. That's what you do at home or in school. When you're working with Fresh Artists, you figure out, what can my art do to make the world a better place? So about just a few weeks ago, it seemed possible that the art they were making, which is called My Time to Shine, it's we snitched it from CBS Sunday Morning, the suns that are so beautiful, the faces, and 9,000 people have sent suns to Jane Pauley, unsolicited. So we thought we can do that too. So the kids did their portrait as the sun. And what does shining mean? Shining is democracy, it's justice, it's the purity of the sun. What is it? Sterilizing? Does the sun sterilize nasty things, right? So this is their project. And then about 4 weeks ago, it occurred to me that we could do something with them and we could put them to work. And the kids are working very hard on the art. They've made 785 of these from all over, from all K through 12. Lauren, shrug your shoulders, is holding hers. She made this one, and you have to turn it around to show who we're really talking to. Out of, do you want to tell about it? Yeah, come on up real quick. Stand here. Part of their education. Mhm.
So I use recycled paint chips from the Bear Company, the Bear Paint Company, all recycled chips. So yeah, it's just like mosaic together to make suns.
Beautiful.
But Lauren has a sort of a wonderful affliction. She can't do just one of anything. So she did the one that where is the other one? Do we have another picture? What's okay. It's this one. And then she said, "Would you like some more?" And I said, "Yes, please." And she made 12 more. So that's just one way to do it. So what we're going to do is these are all going to,
Yeah. All of these.
here, you go up in front. Through the grace of Montgomery County, the best county in the world, saw that this was valuable. I said they could be squares and they could be stickers, so that instead of going into the voting polling places, maybe this is a little bit of an improvement over the little red, white, and blue ones that we all are so fond of. And these will be the stickers in 428 polling places this year. And the kids will be there. And really the premise here that we started to talk about is that they can't vote, but we all can. Please vote for their future. This is totally nonpartisan. There isn't an elephant or a donkey in any piece of art, I guarantee you. But the kids got behind this. 759 people did this, and we're taking 521 of them into our collection. So those pieces of art will go somewhere in the new building. Not sure where, but that's what you've got. You've got children all over the court, all over the county that are making this. Penny, what is, you come up and say a few words real quick, because they've got a lot to do, both of you. Come on, Elisa. All three of these young women are part of Art Stars, and they do stuff for Fresh Artists. So Penny, I'm going to ask you, why do you like hanging out with Fresh Artists?
Hello, everybody. I like going to Fresh Artists. I enjoy it because the atmosphere is really nice. It's warm, and I really like enjoying art. And the fact that my art will go to an important place made me feel like, my art can do so much. And I was really excited, and now I like being right there. Lisa?
So Penny said she's got a little sister when we invited her to be part of this, and she said, how long could she come? And I went, how little? and she was probably the best of all the 10 kids. Elisa, what did you like about being part of Fresh Artists? Or do, because it's not over. And how old are you?
9.
Speak up.
9.
And why are you hanging out with us? What's fun?
I like painting. And then
Maybe dance? Who's there? Oh, that's him. There's Kenny. That's your sister. So one of them one of the things we do is we make the kids put their hands in paint and then hold them up and we take their pictures. And this is Penny, and yours was very good too. So we actually ended up having, I think Roger had to make a little bench for her to stand up on so she could make art on the table. But Elisa is 9 now, 9 years old, and I think absolutely one of the most accomplished of the 12 kids in the collection. So we brought a bunch of stickers for you. These are the actual stickers that are going to be in the actual voting places. We made a garland out of them, but out in the front on the table, we brought about 200 stickers cut apart in groups of 2. Please take one. It says Montco Votes, and give one to somebody that you hope comes to the polls. Okay, so this is I'm charging you as an old lady with something to do, right? Use the stickers to start a conversation, tell them children need them, and donated them to the county. And apparently, according to, is Frank here tonight?
Frank's working.
He's Mr. Dean, who head of all of voting, said that the intention was to use these stickers from now on, at which point he practically had to pick me up off the floor. We are thrilled. We are honored. We love Montgomery County, and we've I think contacted about 12,000 children in the last 2 years in projects of some sort. So thank you very much. And could we have a picture with the commission? How do we do the picture?
So thank you, Barbara, for your leadership. I know you and I have had a chance to talk in the past, and really excited to see the fruits of your labor and all the work that you've done to pour into our children. And really excited. These are way more fabulous than, although our American flag is amazing, these are very creative. So I want to thank the 3 of you for being here. And I would love to know, so which sticker is yours? Which son is yours? So yours is on your, okay, so that, you have a couple, that's right. You have 12 in the collection? Okay, great.
We did a senior project.
Love it.
Senior this year, that's Vanessa, and she thought this would be a great thing to do, so I don't think she's finished.
Okay, great. Well, I'm proud that you're from Norristown area high school. I'm a graduate. I only graduated a couple of years ago.
What, 4, 5?
4 or 5 years
Yeah.
ago.
So I thought.
This I will be an art teacher.
Awesome. That's amazing. Great. Great. So why don't you all come on back here? We'll take a quick picture. Is back here the best? Okay.
I don't know.
Thank you.
I graduated last
You graduated last year. Awesome. Nice to meet you.
I was center just a little bit more.
Good. Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for being here. Are you gonna be in the middle? Right?
Great. I like it.
You're gonna have to come in here. You're okay. Sure. Okay, but yeah, stickers. All right.
All right, we're gonna look right here. Okay. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Is everyone else good?
Good.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for the stickers. Okay. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
I will be doing online.
Oh, awesome. Very good. All right. Thank you for being here. Nice to meet you too.
Good stuff. Thank you.
All right. Next up, I'd like to invite Dr. Tamara.
Just real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted, these are all amazing. And I can't wait to see the response from the voters when they're going out after they vote on election day to get these stickers. I agree that the American flag stickers are awesome, but this is also, and I was just trying to figure out how I'm glad that you guys gave us these stickers because I was just trying to figure out how I could vote multiple times to get the whole round. So, but we have that covered. So I got all my stickers.
I already got 75. I was just out at the band for the last couple hours.
What's that?
I was just saying, I already got all
You can
700.
only vote one time. You can have multiple stickers, but you can only vote one time. So we'll clear that up.
Yes.
That's right. That's such a good point.
Thank you.
So when we open our new Justice Center, as Barbara shared, we'll adorn those hallways with pictures and paintings from the fresh artists. So thanks again, Barbara, for being here. All right, next up, I'd like to invite Tamara Williams up to talk about World Homelessness Day.
First, I want to make sure are Lakeisha and Daniela here?
Okay.
Okay. So good evening, commissioners.
Put your mic up.
Oh, there we go. Dr. Tamara Williams, Deputy Chief Operating Officer. It's my honor to introduce a remarkable speaker who embodies resilience and strength. I have with me this evening Daniela Herrera, who has faced the challenges of homelessness firsthand. Daniela came into rapid rehousing with Carson Valley Children's Aid in July of 2023 to begin her journey to housing. Carson Valley is a Montgomery County Housing Resource Center, or HRC, working to help people like Daniela resolve their housing crises. Through this program and Daniela's own efforts, she was housed in 10 days and was determined to get her life back on track. And so today for World Homeless Day, Daniela Michelle will share her powerful story of how she was able to do just that because of the Your Way Home program, and at the same time, shed light on the realities of homelessness and the transformative impact of community support. So I will turn it over to Danielle.
Danielle, come on up. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
I'd like to say this Monday, the 14th, I'll have 2 years of sobriety.
Amazing.
So that had a lot to do with my homelessness. And I went and got sober and came out, and I heard about this program. So I inquired about it, and very quickly I found housing. With this program, I have so much gratitude. It gave me so much hope to re-enter the community as a normal, functioning human being, to feel the eyes of the people not looking down at me, but looking at me now as a productive person in the community. So I was able to obtain employment. And with that employment, I have now been employed over a year. I make my rent payments on time. I am able to have, it's still not a reality to me that I have my own place, because I was homeless for over 4 years. So to be able to go home in my home, it's just such an unbelievable dream to me that is actually my reality. So now that I feel comfortable and safe, I went and got myself a kitten.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have my little best friend in my apartment,
Amazing.
and me and my best friend live every day happily paying our bills. And I don't worry about where I put my head at night. And I go out in the community and I tell people, this is what you have to do. This is what you can do to be where I am. And I have so much gratitude for Your Way Home. Has given me so much hope that I can never put into words how grateful I am.
Well, Danielle, first, congratulations on 2 years sober.
Thanks, Jen.
Seriously, we can get and thank you for having the courage to share your story. I always talk about my brother who just celebrated 1 year of sobriety as well. And while I have not walked in his shoes, I certainly can empathize for anyone that is actively in recovery, the challenges that you face day in and day out. But what a great feeling to have a job, a home, a kitten. Hopefully the kitten isn't tearing up all your furniture, right? because that's, those are the basic needs that people have in order to wake up every day and feeling excited about the day ahead. And so we have more than, I think, 400 people sleeping sleeping on the streets in Montgomery County. And we are the second wealthiest county in the state of Pennsylvania. And we know that we have many challenges that are complex in terms of trying to find tangible solutions that will help those that are currently sleeping on the streets. We have people that are facing addiction. We have people that have been in and out of our criminal justice system, but we have people that also, just lost their home because they lost their job. And so it's important that we share your story, we share the successes that you've faced, because the journey to solve homelessness and come up with tangible solutions is a challenge that we all face on this board. We're fighting NIMBYism, people saying, not in my backyard, but we all have a moral obligation to play a role in helping to combat this issue.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I've asked our team to do is bring about the faces and the success stories, so people know the stories of people that have been on this journey. And so I want to thank you for being here. I want to congratulate you, and I hope that you'll continue to focus on your recovery. I know that you will. And I want to see a picture of the kitten. Is it a boy or a girl?
I don't have one.
You don't have one. Okay, next. Oh, you have the marks to prove it. Well,
My name's Frankie.
Frankie. Awesome. Well, thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah.
I want to congratulate you as well on all your achievements. It's wonderful to hear. And I was going to ask what your kitten's name was, but you already handled that one. But you said something when you were talking that really is important, that we have to make sure that people understand. That you said that you didn't like people looking down on you when you're in your previous situation, and now they look at you, face to face. First off, they should be looking up at you for everything that you have accomplished, but we should never look down on anybody that is less fortunate than anyone else sitting in this room or beyond. And that's where we have to start. And when we could get everyone not looking down at people for the situation that they're in for many reasons, no fault of their own, that's the first step. And if we could get everyone looking, up at people and understand their situation and understand how we all have to work together to have many success stories like your own, then we're on the path. We're moving in the right direction. So I just want to, again, congratulate you on all your hard work and everything that you accomplished. And you should be extremely proud of everything that you're doing and everything you're going to do. And just remember, one little advice I'm going to give you is don't ever let anyone look down on you. So you'll be very proud of who you are and what you are doing and what you will become.
Congratulations. And I'll just say, thank you for sharing your story here. I know that's, a decision you don't have to make, but you doing it is really important, because in part, it highlights the fact that although we're still working and there's a lot of work to do with 400 people currently on the streets, your way home and the work that has been done in the county over the last 10 years has helped thousands of people get back into homes where they're safe and able to build their lives. And so it's really important that we, continue to support that work. And thank you, Dr. Williams, for leading that, and Kaylee Silver, who are doing a great job in the county. So thank you all.
Thank you again. All right, next up, it's National Community Planning Month. So I'd like to invite Scott France, our Executive Director of the Montgomery County Planning Commission, to do a brief presentation.
Scott, did you plan on being here tonight?
Of course. I would, and thank you all for having me in recognition of that. It's a great time to do this and give me this opportunity. I couldn't decide ahead of time if this was going to be the easiest presentation I ever gave, because I get to talk about all the great things we do, or the hardest because I only have 5 or so minutes and I know I'm going to miss a lot. But I'll do my best. If you could go to the next slide. Just a little bit about our office. I won't read through the text, and we'll have a kind of a slide on each of those things. Our office is about 44 positions strong, give or take. Seats are filled any given month, but we really are recognized for the work we do across the region and in the state because of the support and the resources that we have at Montgomery County, and that helps us do a better job. The one takeaway that I hope comes out of this is that yes, we do plans, and hopefully we do great plans, but we do so much more. We are actively involved with the implementation of those projects, even to the point of managing when it comes to whether it's construction or grant money. We try to do it all, and I think that shows in the results. Next slide. I'm going to begin with, because we are talking about National Community Planning Month, one of the real pride points of our program, of our department and the county, is the Community Planning Assistance Program. We are unique in the Commonwealth of having full planning contracts with many of our municipalities. In fact, we have 34 out of the 62 have entered into these contracts voluntarily. So we do the planning work for them, or the scope of services that they select or that they need done. A wide range of activities, everything from the biggest items to comprehensive plans for a municipality, to updating zoning ordinances, to amendments, even full zoning rewrites when needed, and special studies and design work as well. Then we get specialty projects like walking audits, school enrollment projection studies, active transportation plans. What a community needs, what's in their interest, what's important to them at the time, we talk to them, and we're here to perform that work. This also gets us at the table, so we can talk about these issues, so that we can work together, collaborate, which again is what really sets us apart, I think, from a lot of the other counties in the Commonwealth. Next slide. One of the activities I will point out, because it is kind of unique and really fun for us and enlightening, we just started doing a couple of years ago, was a zoning and saldo charrette. A charrette is where you spend a really intense, brief time period, sometimes as much as a day. It can go longer, but usually in our case, a day or less, where you bring some people to the table, experts in their field, people in the community as well as outside, and focus in on really the goal is to kind of crack the code, find out where a zoning code is failing or not meeting the expectations of what people expect or thought that it would do. We did this with Lower Merion first, where they had a whole new zoning rewrite. They had one of the best consultants in the country come in, do their whole code over. And then at the end, they're like, okay, we've literally spent probably 2 years on that. And the township said, are we sure this is doing, there's so much involved here. Are we sure it's doing everything we think it is? So we came in, spent a day with everyone, and we found probably 60 or so items that was like, yeah, this isn't quite what we thought it was. Or we, we got down to brass tacks and said, we can do this better or fix this. So that's just one example. We've done with a couple communities, and it's really exciting to have that opportunity. Next slide. This is just a map of the county showing where we have those contracts right now. As I said, 34 municipalities, boroughs and townships, both in the pink and the blue on the map. But we also have 4 regional planning commissions, which again is one of the unique aspects. I won't go into the details of it, but the Commonwealth established the opportunity about 25 or 30 years ago. And we had these 4 regions start up, and they're still going strong today, which not everyone was quite sure when it started that would happen. But basically, it gives those communities in those regions the opportunities to look at their land use, look at their zoning, look at their fair share requirements set for every municipality, and they can distribute that amongst the regional partners. So the benefit to everyone when they can focus, here's where the rural resource area is, here's where the denser town center, employment center, and population is, and then they can plan even more productively and not have to be confined to just one border. We'd like to see more of that in the east, but it's working very well in the west. The next slide. And so that I've been talking about, those are contracts that we do work and we support. We go in on cost sharing. It's one of the best deals in the county, we feel, for government services. But at the same time, we help all municipalities, all 62. And one of those is through our development review process, which is required by state law. But we put as high a priority as we can on making these advisory comments as effective and useful, constructive as we can for municipalities. So every land development, subdivision, or zoning amendment that comes through a municipality is required to be submitted to the county for review. And again, we put all of our effort into making those reviews most useful. In fact, this summer, we actually completed a survey with over 150 respondents of elected officials, planning commission members, and municipal staff to find out how we were doing, to see if our letters were as useful as they could be, who was using them, what they found most useful about them, all in the interest of making them as strong as possible. Because in the end, they are advisory. Municipalities do not have to act on the recommendations, but we heard from so many people that they get inspired by some of the recommendations, that we're giving them options, that we're telling them things that they can do or should fight for or negotiate with the developer. And you get those wins here and there. It's not everywhere, but you make the effort and you see better communities and better results in the built environment. Next slide. So in the planning realm, we do as I said at the front, we do lots of plans, none bigger than the county comprehensive plan. I'll touch on that in a moment. But things like Bike Montco, Walk Montco, hazard mitigation plan, where we look at all the threats and assessments in the county and work with public safety and other departments to both identify and come up with plans to address those should they happen, as well as health threats and crisis points. And then with the physical infrastructure, Montco Pikes was an example of a study. Looked at the 6 largest county roads and how can we make them safer, more effective, less congested, compiling all those recommendations so that we're in position to act on them when grant funding becomes available, when we're pushing for regional funding for roadway projects. We have the background and the ability to make those more competitive and get the dollars that are necessary. Next slide. So I mentioned the comprehensive plan. We're right in the middle of it. Commissioner Winder mentioned up front, and thank you for that. We saw us my colleagues out front at the beginning of the meeting or beforehand. You can find us online. Please, everyone out, I urge you to go online. There's 2 sites actually. Our main page is on our website, montgomerycountypa.gov. But you can also go to engage.montgomerycountypa.gov. That is a new site, new platform that has questions you can answer, provide feedback, look at maps, access documents. Hopefully you find it very useful. And the more people who contribute to this plan, who give us their feedback, the better plan it's going to be. Regardless of where you stand on issues, we want to hear from you. Next slide. Within the plan, the previous slide kind of had a list of all the different things that the comp plan touches on. It really is by nature and by its name, comprehensive. But there are certain elements that are more indicative of planning, more specific to what the MPC gives some authority or requirement to address. In the end, it comes out, one of the key things that come out of it are these policy maps, which are there to guide future growth and development and the type of development. These are not a zoning code. Municipalities are not required to follow, but there's a requirement that consistency amongst local and county comprehensive plans be met or achieved. And so we work together. Planning is a collaborative process, unlike any other. And knowing that when we're doing something, if we could spend 3 months writing our own opinions on something or putting it out there, but if we're not talking to the residents, talking to the officials, talking to everyone, then what's the point? We want to get to a consensus. We want to get people and find where there's support and give the best ideas from there. Next slide. I mentioned taking those plans and putting them into action. Here's just a few examples. One that I would frankly brag about because we've had such tremendous support from our leadership year after year since 2016, and that continues, is the Montco 2040 grant program. This is money that was set aside each year to give to municipalities for projects that achieve the goals of the county comprehensive plan. But the key is municipalities are choosing these projects. They're projects that they care about, that they want to see done, that they need additional resources for. A lot of times these grants, which can be as much as $250,000 maximum in the current round, can be gap funding or leverage funding that allows a project to happen that otherwise might not. So if you go across the county, we've been doing it since 2016. There's over 150 projects that have been funded. Approximately 20 million in that time has been grant awarded. And you can go everywhere, corner of the county, you can find a project or a piece of infrastructure that we can point to the program as having enabled or supported. And that's really great to see. Other things, like I said, the county trail development and the roadway, we'll move right into transportation planning. Transportation planning is something that everyone cares about. It's one of the most top popular issues when we ask for feedback. And it takes a lot of work. We can't do all the road improvements, even just as a county that we want. We need federal dollars. We need the state PennDOT assistance. for those big projects that really improve quality of life and address mobility. And it's harder and harder, as everyone knows. Unfortunately, we can't build new highways wherever we want. Those kind of resources are even harder to come by. But we can do a lot of things. And the key is fighting for those things, getting them recognized, and getting the funding during the regional processes that dole out federal dollars and state dollars to make them happen. And that's our job, is to work with municipalities and officials to identify those projects and then make them happen. And they do. Some of them do take many years, but when it happens, something like Lafayette Street in Norristown or Bridge Pike, which is ongoing now, and eventually people will be very grateful for, maybe not right at the moment with all the construction, is something that we know that the harder we work, the better it's going to be. Other opportunities with expanding passenger rail, which hardly ever happens in this region. We're on the cusp of getting new rail service out to Pottstown along the Reading to Philadelphia corridor through Amtrak, which has been an amazing achievement. And it's a collaborative effort with 3 counties, all the elected officials, and it's amazing how quick it's coming together using IIJA money that comes out of federal dollars. Next slide. Environmental planning, again, as every year goes by, this becomes even more important. We can look at in the last 24 hours in another part of the country, how devastating the effects of the climate can be. And we see things locally here. We've seen them in the past and we'll continue to see them. So what do we do to address them? A lot of it is advanced thinking, advanced preparation, the kind of development we see, what we do with impervious surfaces, all those things go into the thinking of our environmental planners and result in what we recommend through the land development process to the degree that we can. And we also do studies as well. We have 2 major studies going on right now. The Perkiomen flood study, addressing almost half of the county in the western half, looking at where there are opportunities to reduce flooding and improve situations out there, as well as a countywide plan, which is more of an update to stormwater planning across multiple areas across the county. Norristown Dam is another one we'd like to talk about. We're real excited about bringing hydroelectric power to the Norristown Dam, which the county owns, and will support the new county campus as it gets developed, should that go in, whether it's public or private as operations go. In our sustainability planning, that's where we work with municipalities. We've done sustainability plans for a number of our municipalities, and that helps look toward the future, implement better practices, and it's amazing once you look at what was built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and all the things that were lacking. Sometimes you see a project today that you're like, oh no, that's going to bring more more impervious surface, more flooding. Well, the way they develop things and the way stormwater is managed now actually can be a vast improvement over what's there currently, even if it's not developed. Just the way that streams erode and all these factors that contribute to poor water quality and excess stormwater. Next slide. And then finally, on the issues I wanted to cover was our trails and open space work. Again, a huge point of pride here. We are leaders, I feel, even nationally, in the way we have implemented trails in the county for a number of decades now, through multiple administrations, multiple staff, multiple support. In fact, this is going to be kind of a secret because I think we're going to celebrate this a little more loudly before the end of the year. But we do have 100 miles of trails in our primary trail network, which you can see on the slide there. And what's really amazing is how they're starting to connect. We built the Perkiomen Trail, we built the Schuylkill River Trail, all great places to go for a ride or a walk or get to somewhere. Now you can actually take different routes. You can get on one trail, it connects to another, and that opens up the use more than just a Sunday afternoon enjoyment, but also maybe it helps you get to a job, it helps you get to visit a friend or get to another place, and in a healthy and sustainable way. Open space as well, we also invest in the value of open space. It's not just the ecosystems and the natural resources, which are critically important, but also it's a money return. We did a study in 2022 about the economic value of open space and how much that comes back to the community when they invest. So I urge people to check that out. Next slide. Finally, planning education. It doesn't help if we're not talking to people and telling them all about the things that we get excited about and think will benefit their experience and their decisions. And so whether it's social media or events we plan or newsletters, we're trying to get that word out. So we actually have a Planning Smarter event, which is our program to work with the public. And on October 30th in Upper Gwynedd, we're doing a session on active transportation from 4 to 6. So go to our website, you'll see Planning Smarter there and about that, or hopefully join us and participate. Next slide. I think that takes us to the end. And again, I really want to thank you for this opportunity. And we always love talking about planning.
You sure do. You always do a great job. So
Thank you.
thank you for your leadership. Your team is hands down one of the best in the Commonwealth. And just really grateful for all the work that you and your team do, being out in front and working with our local municipalities from a planning perspective. So thanks for being here tonight.
Thank
Any
Thank
other
you,
comment?
sir.
You're able to do all that in 3 minutes.
The three.
That was a great job. I mean, it definitely demonstrates, from time to time we hear, why is the planning commission budget so big? And, last month, I think it was, you explained about all the money, the pass-through money and all how that comes together. But it's also, you did a great job of showing how involved you are throughout the county, working on many, many projects. As you know, I sit on the rail project with you, and I'm trying to get, hopefully that's going to be on an upcoming meeting, get an update, as we're going to be talking about how we're coming out of phase 1 and all that. So there's a lot of good stuff that's going on there. I think we're moving in the right direction. You brought up about the stormwater management and the Perkiomen watershed. I don't know how, I know there's bills potentially in Harrisburg, but I don't know what kind of influence from a county perspective that we would have. But if we could work towards doing stormwater management calculations based on the watershed level and not just the development level, I think that would have a lot of impacts on when we do see, when our creeks and rivers and all that are rising. And I think that some of the developments that contribute to that, based on the current stormwater management calculations, which leave out many things, including discharge from sub pumps, water runoff from roofs. I mean, the list is long of what's not included. So when you talk about the impervious surfaces and all that, and how the waters, could be flowing, we really need to work towards figuring out how we could help navigate, no pun intended, but navigate the waters of changing that stormwater management calculations to moving away from development, but more to the watershed. I think that would be huge. And I know that, through the regional planning and all that, there's been a lot of work that the planning commission's done with the different municipalities through Montgomery County, provided a lot of advice and guidance. I generally support majority of everything that you guys are doing. I'm not that I don't believe this falls in your department, but I don't support the move towards the recent grant to hire consultants to send them into the townships to influence them on changing their zoning. I did hear a lot of complaints or calls from multiple township supervisors and all that. It'd be interesting to see where that goes as well. But again, I want to thank you for all the hard work that you guys, your whole entire team is doing. And I thought I saw Ann somewhere, but when I was at the Bridgeport event earlier this year, the first time I saw your boards and people, putting the stickers on, I said, what an incredible idea. And it really, the way it's done, it's very easy for people to provide input. And I think it's very well received, because I've seen it in other communities, events that you guys have been at. And I think when I walk by and I see all the stickers on the boards, I said, that's just amazing. So that was a great idea, the way you're doing that. So I just want to commend you on that as well.
Appreciate it.
I'll just add that for folks in this room who are unfamiliar with the Planning Commission, anything in the county where you have an issue, whether it's parks, trails, transportation, something is where it shouldn't be in some ways, they're the people that we go to immediately when we have that inquiry, and they know everything about every, square inch, foot, mile of the county. And just thank you for all the work that you're doing to make sure that quality of life is good and everything is what we want it to be. So thank you.
Thank you. That's been very
Thank
nice.
you. All right, so next up is public comment, and this portion of public comment is only for today's pending votes, resolutions, bids, RFPs, and contracts. The speakers are limited to 3 minutes, and it must be germane to county business.
No one for public comment on agenda items.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, next up, approval of the minutes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the September 18th, 2024 minutes of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Makija. Any board comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next up, Commissioners' appointments and reappointment to the Montgomery County Mental Health and Developmental Disabilities Board. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 1 as described on Exhibit G1. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, that's a tie. I'll give it to Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next up, Commissioner's appointment to the Montgomery County Public Defenders Advisory Board. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2 as described on Exhibit G2. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Makija. Any board comment? Hearing none, moving to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next up, I'd like to invite Catherine Halen to review our personnel list.
Good evening, Commissioners. You should have in front of you the personnel list, which is a 3-page document with a timestamp of October 9th at 10:37 a.m. All transactions have been reviewed by management and are presented for your approval.
Great, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the October 10th, 2024 personnel presentation as given by Ms. Catherine Halen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Makija. Any board comment? Hearing none. Moving to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, advertisement of bids and RFPs, Montgomery County Exhibit A. I'd like to make a motion to approve the advertisement of bids and RFPs for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit A. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, advertisement of bids and RFPs for the Southeast PA Regional Task Force, Exhibit B. I'd like to make a motion to approve the advertisement of bids and RFPs for the Southeast PA Regional Task Force, attached Exhibit B. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comments? Moving to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, awards of contract, Montgomery County Exhibit C. I'd like to make a motion to approve the contracts, awards, amendments, and renewals for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit C. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Makija. Any board comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next up, awards of contract, Southeast PA Regional Task Force, Exhibit D. I'd like to make a motion to approve the contracts, awards, amendments, and renewals for Southeast PA Regional Task Force on attached Exhibit D. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comment? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. General public comment, limit to 3 minutes. And the speakers may comment on matters that are or may be before the Board of Commissioners.
Okay, first up, Margaret Burke.
So efficient.
We try to be. It wasn't always this way. so.
Impressive. Welcome to the North Penn area and thank you for coming tonight. I'm glad that you get to experience what it's like for us to go to Norristown. So when we come, we really mean it. So now you know what we go through. I want to congratulate you on the voting process. I have been complaining to anybody who will listen since last year when my daughter didn't get to vote when she was at college. She was in Vermont and she was on the first wave of absentee ballots to go out from the county on the very first day. She didn't get it until Thursday night before the election. Her vote didn't. And that is not fair. And I'm so glad that we as a county are moving forward and letting college students have a better chance and everybody have a better chance at voting. It's not fair to disenfranchise anybody. That is her constitutional right that was taken away because of administrative court issues, whatever, and that should never have happened and it's shameful.
Quick question.
Oh,
Did she,
can we hold? 'cause
that's
I-
okay. You got plenty. Did you get her ballot this time?
Yeah, she's not in college right now and she did get her ballot here and we've all voted.
Great.
So we're part of that 7,000 who already voted. Tonight, I came here last year, before two of you were on the board, maybe you remember Commissioner Winder, to talk about something called a Project Search internship program. And I want to tell you a little bit about what it is. So it's an internship program for post-12 students. That means they have special needs. They're still in school after they're done with 12th grade. To address the problem of adults with disability unemployment rate is about 80% nationally, and that's atrocious. Some of you may know my son has disabilities, and right now he's participating through the largest of North Penn school district in the Bucks County Project Search program. And I'm hopeful that maybe you guys would be interested in doing that also. It's at the Bucks County Courthouse, and they do rotations, three rotations during the school year. And for us to do it in Montgomery County. So just so you know what it would entail is approximately 8 to 12 students coming in. They would go into the various departments, work from 9 until 2 p.m. and they have lunch during that time, and they would be mentored by people in your departments. So I can tell you more about it if you have any questions, but I'm running short of time. So really my ask to you, the three of you today, is to find out, go to your departments, find out, are people interested in doing this? If you have 8 students in 3 rotations, that's at least 24 student rotations during the year. Are there enough departments? They do like the DA, the sheriff's office, whatever department that is willing to do it. Are you interested in doing it? And then the next step would be to approach the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, which now I realize you guys don't get to tell them what to do. They actually report into the state. But before I would approach them with the idea of getting it going in Montgomery County, I would like to know that you truly have interest and people want to be mentoring these students. And also we can ask the Project Search Bucks people to help us get it off the ground. They got it off the ground in COVID and Bucks, so we can do better than Bucks.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming again and reminding us
wait.
about.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, go ahead. I didn't want to walk away.
No, she's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's okay. Yeah. So I'd like to, no, you were great.
Yeah.
So I do remember when you came last year, and it's something that we have talked about internally, just generally about doing a better job around creating opportunities for all types of students to come and see what it's like to work at the county. And so I'm going to task our chief HR officer along with our deputy COO to follow up on this. And we have a great relationship with the IU. So I'm sure that they would be happy
Thank
to.
you so much.
Anything?
I just,
Okay.
just quick question. It's called Project Search Internship.
Yeah, it's Project Search International. It started in Cincinnati. It's an international program. So if you search Project Search, you'll see it all over the U.S. There's about 3,000 to 4,000 students doing it per year across the U.S.
And what's the age?
So they have to be post 12. So usually that is, they finish 12th grade. The usual age would be like 18 to 22 now, I think.
Yeah, it's up to 22.
It has to be their last year because they commit, like my son John committed to look for a job, and OVR will help him look for a job after this, because the goal is to give people with disabilities full-time employment.
Right.
So, you know, he's committed to not going back and doing post.
So when you say it has to be their last year.
Their last year of post 12. So students with disabilities have an IEP and they can stay in.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know I was on the
They
school
just
board.
can't go back
Yeah.
after that. So John's doing it. He could have stayed another year, but he really wants to.
So if they're basically the 21 to 22-year-olds, right?
Well, John is 19, so they can be 18, 19, 20, 22 is like the oldest you would be if you were in post 12, and that's just a recent court decision. Usually it was 21 to be done. Now it's 20.
Yeah, it's went to 22 now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Wonderful.
And I do want to say, you know, I see your son, John, all the time. And, you know, the work you do to advocate for him and others, I just want to commend you for that. So
it really is a community effort. So many people here have helped my son. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being here. Next up,
We have Carla Helzig.
Hi, I'm Carla Helizak from Montgomery Township. I have a request to the commissioners.
If you could please communicate immediately about the issues that we're all hearing about with mail-in ballots, particularly with the glue on the envelopes and then the resolution to how to fix that. There's nothing on the voter services webpage. Many of us have put our email addresses on the ballot. We did not get any communication on it. And I'm personally getting Facebook requests from people in the military out of state complaining that they're calling voter services to find a resolution and they're not getting a return call. We have very little time before the election. I'm afraid people are going to lose their vote.
Thank you for raising that. So on the glue issue, I know we've put some communication out. So let's obviously we have somebody here that does
It's
not.
not on your Facebook. It's not on your webpage. It's not in the newspaper.
So there should be, and
No, I know.
earlier this week, there
put
was
it out.
communication on the voter services webpage. I don't know about the Facebook,
Okay.
but we will double check that.
You could put a banner loud and clear. And then for those people who are in the military, can I make an assumption that you have their addresses and maybe a letter has gone out to them proactively replacing those envelopes?
So in terms of the actual numbers of people affected, out of the 160,000 that we have received, it's very small number. But so for us to mail everyone would be confusing to those who
Have emails?
we can put it as an FAQ, which it is on the website, and then send that out generally. If you have any issues, read the FAQ and have it in one of those. That way only the people who are actually experiencing it, which is a small number, see it, as opposed to those who are not affected. I think that's probably the best thing that we can do. But just to put the facts out there for anyone who needs them, there's no problem with opening it, like cutting it open and then taping it. There's no problem with that. Your vote will be counted. The only thing to know, voter services will contact anyone who has a ballot that's taped to confirm that they did that. The outer envelope, the best practice is to initial the outer envelope. No one should write on the secrecy envelope. That should, remain, but it's also fine to tape that. There's no issue. The votes will be counted.
Would you happen to know exactly where on voter services webpage this announcement is? Because
Should be in the FAQ.
That's not obvious. If you can put a banner that runs across the webpage.
Yeah. Thank you for your feedback. And then just to address your one comment about people calling and not getting a response, we'll look into that as well. We've staffed up significantly in our voter services team, but we want to make sure that anyone that's reaching out to us, that we return a phone call, an email. So we can just, Lee, if you could just check on that.
Yeah.
I can give you the person's name as well after the meeting if that would be helpful, so you can do an immediate response.
Judy,
Absolutely.
can you grab that for me? My colleague Judy in the back will grab the name.
Oh,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Next up,
Rich Albert.
hi, Rich. How are you?
So I'm a resident of Montgomery Township, and I really appreciate you coming out this way tonight.
Of
Instead of me
course.
having to go all the way to Norristown. My comments have to do with election integrity and transparency in our elections. I think in order to have confidence in our election, we have to have complete transparency. And what I specifically want to address is the method of counting at the Central Tabulation Center. I've been a poll watcher both in the precinct and in the Central Tabulation Center. When I was there 2 years ago, all the poll watchers had to stand behind barriers and they could not verify what was going on in the room. And I understand that you come up with some new written procedures, which I think is an improvement. However, in the precinct, the poll watchers are permitted to examine the poll book and look at the number list of voters when no one's present, so they're able to verify that things are being handled properly. So observers in the central count haven't always been able to have the opportunity to really observe what's going on. And I understand that with your new process, they can, once an hour, they'll be able to walk through the center to see what's going on, but that doesn't really verify what's going on when they're not walking through. The statute allows one authorized representative of each candidate and one representative from each political party to remain in the room in which the absentee ballots and mail-in ballots are pre-canvassed. The Department of State guidance explains what the authorized representative should be permitted to observe during a pre-canvass and canvass: to observe the opening of the envelopes containing official mail ballots, observe the counting and recording of mail ballots, observe determinations regarding provisional ballots. The statute and the guidance are vague because the county board has a responsibility to create rules that are appropriate to our county. To restore confidence in the process, we're asking you to create rules that emphasize a commitment to transparency and access for meaningful observation by authorized representatives. We encourage you to adopt a rule for central tabulation that allows one authorized representative for each candidate and one authorized representatives for each political party to observe pre-canvass, including inspection of the affidavit envelope. We encourage you to create rules such as the authorized representative shall be permitted to observe the pre-canvass and the canvass and be in proximity sufficient to observe inspection of the outer envelopes, to view the envelopes is dated and the envelope is signed, opening of the outer envelopes to observe that there is a secrecy envelope, tabulation of the ballots, adjudication of ambiguous ballot selections, duplication of damaged ballots or Uokava ballots. Authorized
Finish your thought. Go ahead.
Authorized representatives may not interfere with the pre-canvass or canvass of the absentee and mail-in ballots.
Well, that was a lot. So I appreciate you giving us the feedback. So if you want to also email your suggestions, we can get your email address as well. And any comments?
I tried, this is exactly what I tried for a couple months, to allow the watchers with the proper documentation, access to freely walk around and observe. I don't know if I wasn't going as a high number of somebody for every candidate plus everyone from each political party, but I was trying to find something that was acceptable. And because it's clearly written, but the unfortunate thing is that, like most things in Act 77, there's a lot of gray area. Right. So when it says access in the room, when you read that, it's, be able to observe and walk and be able to see everything. Unfortunately, in Montgomery County, we've like to push our watchers off into the corner and they can barely observe anything that's going on in the room. So the compromise was for every hour for 5 minutes to allow somebody to walk around and see what's going on. But I agree with you that that's not a acceptable solution. I even tried to say, well, even if we have one person from each party on each, like you referred to the room setup, which I don't like to talk about publicly, but at least have somebody from each party that is able to be in the different parts of the room. But I didn't get agreement on that either.
Okay, so who should I email it to, or what? What address?
Do we have?
We'll have a
Right,
staff
all right.
member reach out to you.
Okay, great.
Right.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. No, I'll just say that this is the most transparent it's ever been, and people should feel confident that the individuals that are in the room that are part of this process, the poll workers, many of whom have worked for decades in this process of ensuring that their neighbors can cast their ballot no matter who they're voting for. If you meet these people, you will come away not only confident, but with a sense of deep appreciation for the work that they're doing. And it's very stressful right now to be able to respond to the thousands of requests that come in from voters every day, to work overnight, to process the ballots when the entire country is watching and waiting for the results. And believe me, people are going to be pounding at the door. And I think this was a great compromise that respects the space and the requirements that the workers need to do their jobs, while giving the full transparency and access of all the parties that have a right to observe the process.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Okay, next up is Todd Carroll.
Hi, Todd. How are you?
Hello, thanks for this opportunity tonight. I wanted to raise some questions regarding the satellite voting ban, which we saw out here and you were introducing earlier. We did look, I did see on the website a number of bits of information on it that were helpful, but I would say that also left us with more questions than answers in some instances. So I'd just like to run down these list of questions and hope to be able to have something follow up on via email to see if we can get some of these answers. One of the things is we noted that the cost of the taxpayers was 146,000, I believe, for the van, which seemed to be quite extreme. Just wondering about the cost of that van. We noted also noted that the first of its kind in Pennsylvania, I think, was referenced on the website. Hoping that the board could be more often open about it and how it's to be used in a nonpartisan manner. If it's to be a satellite voting location, how will it connect to the Shore system to verify voter registration information? Is it equipped with a ballot on-demand printer? How is it secured? When it is used to facilitate voting at nursing homes, long-term care facilities, other locations like this, will there be bipartisan teams to assure voters that residents are not being unduly influenced? And a big topic that came to my mind was, will a schedule be made available to the public as to where it's going to be, when, how long, that kind of thing? And last question, how will the board ensure that locations visited do not disproportionately favor one party or the other? So a number of important questions we thought to be answered about this ban. We look for some transparency on this in a nonpartisan way to provide answers for the public along these lines.
Thank you for your question. So we'll make sure we email you, but do you want to?
I'm happy to answer some of this. It's a satellite office. It does everything satellite offices do, but it's on wheels. So it means that we can show up in the community. We launched at the Abington Fall Festival. There's a number of events that are just known to have a lot of people, and that's honestly the only metric we use when we determine when we deploy satellite offices, right? You can put an office anywhere in this county, but we choose the number that's going to reach the most people, and that's the way that we've grown the offices. And right now we went from 32% of the population being within 5 minutes of a drop box. We added the drop boxes in such a way that we now are at 50% of the population is within 5 minutes of drop box. So that is the objective way these decisions are made. And when it comes to I think the considerations you're making, ones that we talk about in terms of how we best process requests, but there's the same services provided there that you would get in any other office, including voter services. So no one's asked what party they are, except if they're registering to vote on the form. That's the only place partisanship comes up in this context. In terms of the cost, this is going to be used year round for a long time, and it's much less of a cost than the actual rent in an office. So thinking about it that way, it's worth what we're spending, and for all the people who are able to cast their ballot and make sure their voice is heard, that's important to us. Generally with voter services, I think it's important to note, if you compare us to other counties, our budget's $6 million, for example. There's others that, like Philadelphia, I think is $28 million. So we're doing a lot with a lot less in terms of resources. So I'm proud of the team. I don't want them to work with such lean resources when it comes to all the other staffing. One of the reasons that our warehouse is as crowded as it is, and the considerations came in when it comes to this observer thing we just discussed, is because we don't even have a building that's really big enough to do all the things that we want in one place. Voter services works in 3 places right now. That's going to be something that costs a lot more to fix. And so right now, voter services is operating on a very lean budget, is what I would say.
And one of the things I want to thank you for all of your questions. Certainly, that's why we have these forums to talk about the investments and the strategies that we're putting in place to support residents. You know, when Commissioner Makija came up, you know, had the idea, you know, I couldn't help but think about, so I have, my mother passed away in April, but my father is still living, he's disabled, can't really get out of the house. When I think about friends and neighbors that just can't get to the polling location or can't get to a satellite office, just trying to innovate and think differently about the way we've always done things. And so I know I can speak for myself. I'll let my colleagues speak for themselves, but any decision that I make, you know, at this table and for Montgomery County, it's done in a nonpartisan fashion, trying to do it in a nonpartisan fashion. And it's about what's best for the residents of Montgomery County. And so I'm just really proud. I was proud to be in Abington. Certainly there are questions in the community and we'll continue to educate, but I'm just really proud that this board continues to innovate, challenge the status quo, and just make things a little bit easier for our friends and neighbors. But I want to thank you for your list of questions.
I think the 2 questions that you asked, one was it wasn't 146,000, it was 143. So want to, you know, and change.
Okay.
And the second question is what?
He was close.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. But I want to be, you know, get right information out, right?
Yep.
The other question you asked about the shore system hookup, and it's wireless. It's using wireless connections. But the van does have electricity generator or whatever running. I guess that's I asked that same question today. Is there a generator on it? You know, so because yeah, there's computer hookups, there's printers and all that, all the operational stuff you would need from running a satellite office. Plus staffing as well.
Right. Any idea of the schedule or where it might be? Is that a question that can?
That is something that has been asked, and we will follow up on that. We do want people to know where the van will be. And we're also thinking about how do we create some of our own events to bring the van to a community near you. So we'll take that into consideration. Thank you.
Okay, up next, and I apologize if I say this incorrectly. Kofi Ozejic.
Kofi Osei.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know how to say it.
Thank you. My name is Kofi Osei. I'm a township supervisor in Talmenton, and despite being in the same school district, it was kind of difficult to get to Montgomery Township at that hour. I'm here to talk about what the county can do for SEPTA funding. I was in Harrisburg yesterday and been talking to a lot of people generally, and I don't think a permanent funding source is happening this session. I think there are still emergency solutions available, but I'm not sure we should be relying on state government. SEPTA is an agency with very low local fundings share compared to peer agencies, 7% compared to 30% for the MTA in New York City as of 2019. So I'm calling on the county to fund the more. Our historically affluent suburb is called the Main Line. SEPTA and its infrastructure is critical to Montco's past and future. And let me set the stage. The riding rail restoration was talked about earlier. Allentown Rail is being talked about, which would go through Lansdale and Norristown. Those are both done. KFP Rail starts to make sense. That is a comprehensive rail system through most of our developed areas. None of that can happen if SEPTA does service cuts and hiring freezes, and we're not going to have the institutional knowledge to get this thing started. And on housing a little bit, if you look over in Minneapolis, they reduce rents and reduce homelessness by reducing the regulatory burden on building housing, primarily by eliminating parking requirements and allowing property owners flexibility in residential uses. That is a dual synergy by both increasing SEPTA ridership and solving the housing issue. I'm committed to that solution. That's a municipal power in Towamencin, but I'd rather not have current SEPTA riders be going through our roads to get to the 476 exit. And I might be making myself unpopular, but one thing I continue to say to my neighbors is there's no such thing as an unfunded mandate when you have your own levy. A little complicated for this comment, so I'd love to sit down with any county commissioner, but the collar counties have all not done a reassessment in a while, and for a variety of reasons should be doing them regularly. I would propose to sync our countywide reassessments timing and method with all 5 SEPTA counties, and then commit a percentage of evaluations to SEPTA. That will take a lot of negotiations, and it's going to be difficult, but in the words of our governors who had the commissioner seat at some point, let's get stuff done. Thank you.
Is that what he says? Does he say so? Thank you for being polite. No, thank you for those suggestions. Certainly we've talked a bunch about SEPTA and are in close contact with members on the board and the CEO. And so we recognize the challenges that SEPTA is up against and the role that we play as a county. And then the reassessment piece, wow, that was an interesting suggestion. So something we've also talked about. So thank you for raising.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Mike Wazensky.
How do you say it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, Mike.
So I actually heard from several sources about the lockbox keys were actually dropped off at the Skipback Township building. So I have concerns about that. Being an auditor, I mean, chain of command controls, I would write that up in an audit report. So I'm concerned about that. And just another comment, where Carla was speaking earlier, Neil said, oh, well, that's just a small number of voters. I mean, that sounded a little like you're disfranchising voters, and every vote doesn't count. That's just my interpretation.
No, I'm happy to explain that, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's just the way I interpret it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So I'd like to hear your response on that, on the keys that were submitted.
So what you're talking about is, do you have anything else to say?
No,
Yeah, so we learned, what was it, yesterday? So there was an incident brought to our attention when a Dropbox key was dropped. Was it right outside the box, Ben?
I don't know the exact location.
We don't know the exact location, but it was found. The county immediately looked at all the surveillance video of the Dropbox. No one tampered with the Dropbox. The locks were changed immediately. The key is not going to be used to open any. It's not the same key for any of the Dropboxes. They're different, and the county sheriffs have addressed it. So
how many keys are there for every lockbox? I'm just curious.
Don't have the answer to that question.
There's 2 different locks.
There's 3 different locks.
There are 3 different locks on each Dropbox.
3 locks on each Dropbox. 3 different keys. Is that right, Lee?
Well, they only use 2. They only need to really use 1 when they're picking up the ballots, right?
Right, for the door, right, the bottom door.
Yeah, so bit concerning, so.
Well, and unfortunately, it was multiple sets of keys for multiple Dropboxes. So hopefully we're addressing all the Dropboxes.
That's true.
No, it was one set of keys.
One set of
keys. There were 3 keys, 3 sets of keys, all for that one box.
It was all for the same box?
Yeah.
So our team took the incident very serious.
Getting worse and worse from what I originally heard, so.
No, I don't think it's
I
getting
think
worse
it
and
was
worse.
just misrepresented.
So
Go ahead.
So we took the incident very seriously, so thank you for raising it. It's been addressed. And we will do our part in making sure that it doesn't happen again.
Are you gonna do something publicly to let people know this happened in Montgomery County? Because I've heard this from several sources and people are getting
Yeah,
not too
okay.
thrilled about,
I don't know who the sources are because it was immediately, it was turned into Skippack Township
Yep, it was handled.
and, it was handled immediately. So I don't know who your sources are, but, we're not gonna make a big deal out of it.
Well, it's not a huge deal, but for clarification, the keys were turned in at some point on Monday, from my understanding. And the county found out about it midday Tuesday, and the locks were changed midday, late Tuesday afternoon.
it just seems there's a lot of,
So let's just, I mean, I want to make sure that because I agree that there's
You
multiple,
found out about it first.
Huh?
Did you find out about it first?
no,
Okay.
there was multiple different stories out there, so I just wanted to be clear of but it's been addressed.
envelopes being sealed when people are getting them.
That was because of the weather. That was because of, there's,
Well, unfortunately, anytime you try to mail out 200,000 pieces of mail, there's always going to be a small percentage that have issues. And it's important for us to convey that the vast majority of people do not have issues and are voting successfully, and their votes will be counted. For those where there are a number of issues, we are handling them very quickly. I understand that.
we're not gonna go back and forth anymore.
Yes.
Next up for public comment, Marlene Laska.
Yeah, no, of course.
Marlene Laska, Upper Providence Township. I want to bring to the attention of the board the requirements for the post-election random recount. Pennsylvania Fair Elections finally received a legal opinion regarding the 2% recount being done via manual count. Bottom line is that the Pennsylvania Department of State directive cannot supersede a law. And as such, all Pennsylvania counties must comply with the law. The lawyers are agreeing that per 25 PS section 3031.5, where it states the county board shall comply with the requirements for the use of electronic voting machines or voting system as set forth in the report by the Secretary of the Commonwealth. And that report does state on page 41D paragraph that this audit must be conducted via a manual count of the voter marked paper ballots exclusively. That all Pennsylvania counties must comply with the law versus any directive that may come from the Pennsylvania Department of State. That is despite the directive that you cite, which has the clause, the County Board of Elections shall conduct the statistical recount manually or by scanning on a scanner of a separate make and model than used originally. The legal assessment is that the law has a higher precedence than a directive from the Pennsylvania Department of State. And as such, if a conflict exists, the law takes precedence. So Pennsylvania Fair Elections knows that this legal opinion changes how Monco does his current 2% recount. We also recognize that the county may need some time to think about how they will react to this change. If Pennsylvania Fair Elections can help in any way, including a brief to the Board of Elections, please let us know, and we will arrange such. However, we are looking to have this change implemented for the 2024 general election. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
I didn't get, I didn't understand what the change was.
Well,
You know, and
we'll get what
yeah,
you
send
want.
that, cause yeah.
I did send an email to the Board of Elections. So
Okay.
you should
Take
have
a
it
look
in
at
your
it.
inbox.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Okay, next up, Stan, Stan, oh, yes.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Stan Paskunas, and I have been a resident of Montgomery Township since 1997. I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to share my recent experiences with the Norristown Register of Wills. Additional thanks to Tom DeBello for providing awareness about this venue to share my experiences. My goal in sharing this information is to bring awareness to the board about a lack of resource availability at the Register of Wills in Norristown and the resulting financial impact on residents due to this resource constraint. In addition, looking for the board to provide support for extending a tax discount, inheritance tax discount eligibility for impacted residents or individuals who submitted paperwork in the required time frame to be eligible for this discount. A little bit of background: the inheritance tax is imposed as a percentage of the value of a descendant's estate transferred to the beneficiary by will, heirs by intestacy, and transferees by operational law. Tax rates varies depending on the relationship of the heir to the descendant. The payment is made within 90 days of the date of death. The department discounts the amount by 5%. My mother, Catherine D. Paskunas, passed away on Sunday, December 3rd, 2023 in Montgomery Township. Initially attempted to register for an account on the ROW website, found the interface challenging since it was not intuitive, nor did it provide information related to the steps to start the filing process. Additionally, response time on the website was very slow and error prone. Additional attempts to engage the Norristown Register of Wills within a time frame to be eligible for the discount began on January 16th, 2024. Attempts to contact the Norristown ROW staff members occurred from January 16th, 2024 through February 29th, 2024. A total of 6 emails and 3 phone calls were made without a response from any of the ROW resources during this period. They attempted to contact the state of Pennsylvania Department of Revenue on recommendations to submit the paperwork and the payment in a time frame that allowed eligibility for the discount. They didn't have a whole lot of recommendations. That was really Norristown's issue. After many attempts, I finally received a call back from the ROW in late February and met with one of the resources and submitted the required paperwork. During the initial meeting, I inquired about the eligibility and the issues. I was informed that there was a significant backlog of submitted paperwork. And they said it was going back to the summer of 2023. This was in February 2024. And due to the lack of resources, we wouldn't be eligible if we had filed after the date had expired for 90 days. Really looking for kind of the support from the board here to consider making those individuals eligible who submitted paperwork in a timely fashion.
Okay.
So
thank you. I'm sorry to hear about your mother, and I'm sorry that that was your experience. So what I would say is the Register of Wills is an independent office, and we do play a role in helping to ensure that our roll officers, like our Register of Wills, have the resources that they need in order to operate and deliver on their promises and commitments to the residents of Montgomery County, particularly with the Register of Wills, who's brand new. She has done a lot of work to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the Register of Wills office. I know many people in this room have worked with her team personally. We have made additional investments. I know your question is more about your situation. So what we will do is we'll reach out to you. I can't make any commitments, but we can look into it.
The question I mean, because when we talked about this and I asked, that's why I told you to come to me, because I was trying to follow and understand. But really what it comes down to is that if you're able to demonstrate that you filed all the appropriate paperwork
Mhm.
in the 90 days, but, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, that it wasn't processed in a timely manner, because I agree that there was a lot of changes and a lot of things going on there, but you shouldn't be penalized, right,
Yeah.
for that situation. So it really comes down to how to, from a county perspective, if I'm understanding this, how do we go back and say, well, if you file the paperwork and everything within the right time frame, how will we extend that tax discount, because you did what you were supposed to do in the proper timelines, but we didn't process it correctly, or not correctly, quickly enough for you to receive that tax discount. So that's really what the crux of the issue is, right? As I understand it.
I would agree that I think the term, filed versus attempt to file or something that is relevant here. We couldn't get anyone to call it back. Like I said, we were on the website, trying to utilize the website. The account number wasn't being provided. So I've documented, obviously, the timelines and the attempts of outreach to these individuals. And there was just no response. And we heard the same thing, that there was limited resources. There was a change in the staff. There was, a number of competing issues that didn't allow us to file in the time.
Understood.
So, I would appreciate any support the board
Sure.
can give myself, and I know there's probably other residents that were affected but weren't aware of. Certainly the challenges with getting paperwork done. So I just wanted to bring awareness. I'm sure it's not just myself and my mother's estate. I'm sure there's other individuals who are experiencing the same issue.
Did you send emails or anything in that time frame?
Yes, I did. I sent emails at the time frame. I believe my sister also has information.
Okay.
Make sure we get at the end of the meeting, make sure we get your name and phone number and everything, so we can reach out. Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for raising it.
Okay, next up we have Joe Rittenhouse.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thank you very much. First and foremost, thank you guys for coming outside of Norristown. It's a great thing you guys are doing, coming outside into the community. Highly encourage you guys to do more of it. I think it's necessary. I think people don't hear from you guys tremendously in any way that's significant outside of coming out of here. If you're not online, if you're not on social media, you don't see these meetings. So thank you, first and foremost. I wanted to talk on something related to what Mike said earlier. I just wanted a yes or no. The keys that were dropped outside of the Dropbox at 4-H, they are on video 100% of the time. Yes or no?
The keys or the drop?
The keys that were dropped outside of the Dropbox that were left that gave access to the Dropbox. Do we have 24-hour surveillance on them? Are they totally accountable? Yes or no?
So, I don't have the answer to your question, but the more important question is the Dropbox, right? So the Dropbox is under surveillance for 24 hours.
Sure. But the keys, those, from my understanding from your last question, those keys can access multiple Dropboxes, correct?
No.
They cannot. Okay, good. Great. But those keys that were dropped outside of the Dropbox, do we have accountability for those in the same way we do for the Dropbox?
On them?
Yeah. Do we see the person who dropped them? Do we see them in the frame of the camera?
We don't know where they were. We don't know where they were specifically dropped. So
Okay.
that's
And during that time that they were dropped, how, are we talking a period of an hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes? Like how long were those keys left unattended outside of the Dropbox?
Time. It was approximately 3 hours.
Approximately 3 hours, those keys were left unattended, correct? Before anyone recognized that they were there and everything. Cool. And they only go for that skip back Dropbox, correct?
This is not a Q&A, so we're
No, it's fine,
so
but
you can just so ask your questions and then we can respond.
No, I appreciate the Q&A
Yeah,
part of it,
yeah.
for the record. I appreciate that more
Yep, sure.
than anything else. So I just want to understand on the record that for 3 hours, those keys were unaccounted for. Nobody knows where they went, what could have happened to them. They could have laid there unaccounted for and everything was fine. I'm not saying otherwise one way or another. But for 3 hours, those keys outside of that Dropbox were unaccounted for, according to any of your guys' video cameras, according to anybody who watched the Dropbox, according to any third party or anything like that. Those keys were left for 3 hours, correct? Yes or no?
We answered the question.
Yeah.
It was 3 hours.
3 hours unaccounted for. Thank you. That's all I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I want to reiterate that we did go back and run the camera for that period of time and make sure that nobody entered the Dropbox.
No, but correct. But someone
yeah.
could have touched those keys during that Dropbox time period. Where
Well,
nobody
yeah, but that's right. But I'm just saying that the video was looked at and no one entered the Dropbox.
No one entered the Dropbox during that time frame, and the
Right.
keys were changed.
Right. The locks were changed.
Correct. Okay. There's no chance those keys could go to anything else after the fact.
No, locks
Okay.
were changed.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Have fun. I like your shirt. It says have fun. It sure does. Okay, next up, Sandra Levine.
Sandra Levine, Hatfield Township. I just want to say, I have a comment and then a question.
Okay.
I tried to get on when you had the last meeting and it was like at 12 o'clock, I think.
Okay.
I registered and the system wouldn't let me in. So I had to go to Facebook to watch the meeting.
Okay.
But I did everything I was supposed to do to register and it wouldn't let me in.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
All right.
So please, somebody look at that.
Sure. Thank you for raising that.
I wanted to thank you at that meeting for putting sample ballot as one of the choices when you go on the website. But I would ask that you also get on there, check registration, because that had been on there before and you need a quick link to that. My question is, maybe somebody asked it, I had a hard time finding the right building. With this van that goes around and is asking you, I don't understand. Is there a chain of custody that is being followed carefully when ballots come in? The sheriff's deputies, whoever has brought them in, they're attended, and until voting day, that's it. And when I don't understand, they're being looked at to see if they're missing things, and then what happens with this chain of custody? I don't understand what needs to be done, because I understood in the past, if somebody was missing, they called the person and they came to Norristown. So it never left Norristown. And if they're being taken to where people live, we're not in the chain of custody. So I'd like to understand that, please.
Okay. Anything else? I can answer. Okay, she already. So it's just like a satellite office, which we have 8 of now across the county. Please look them up because it's very convenient. There's one on Main Street in Lansdale, 421. Right. So the van is no different than that. So people do drop off their ballots and they're stored securely and brought back to Norristown and dealt with the same way that they're received from the drop boxes or the same way they're received at the satellite offices. And it's, in many ways more secure than the USPS because you're giving it directly to the county.
My question is about the van.
Yeah. Yes. So what I'm saying is, no. So let's say you use the van right now, which is outside. Anyone is welcome to do that. There will be a drop box, essentially a collection in the van. Then they will take that back to Norristown the same way that we pick up the ballots every single day from the drop boxes, the same way we pick them up at the satellite offices. They all end up back in Norristown. They don't go back out from Norristown.
looking at the envelope to see that it was signed and.
Yes, so that's one of the, that is one of the, oh, right, so that is, yeah, okay, here, let me tell you about that issue. One of the great things about the van is that it is staffed, so whoever is receiving the ballots actually does look at it and tell the voter on the spot whether they did it right or not. So we shouldn't have any of those issues with people who utilize the services of the mobile office because you have a staff member there looking at it. When it comes to the other ballots that are in the drop boxes or that come in through the mail or that are received at the satellite offices, they make it to Norristown. Immediately when they're received, the voter services team does scan them and check whether there's any kind of issue with the ballot. As soon as there's an issue with the ballot, whether they look in the punch hole and they see that there's no secrecy envelope or there's a missing date or the wrong date, they make sure to start a process of notification to the voter, which includes phone and email, if we have it, and then a physical letter. And we're also publishing a list of those ballots that have deficiencies so that people can see if you're at a precinct, or if they share the same precinct or they know your name, or the political parties can do this, voting rights groups can do this. They can go to the list and they can reach out and say, hey, you're on this list online, which you can look at on our website of people who need to fix their ballot. So if you have an issue, you can either come into Norristown and fix it, but you don't have to. The other option is you go online, there's a cancel and replace form. Or you can submit that, if you get a paper form, you could submit that by email. It's to moncovotes@montgomerycountypa.gov is our email. And the cancel and replace form will initiate a process of you getting a new ballot mailed to you, which then you can fill out correctly and do that again. The other option is that you're notified that there's a deficiency with your ballot and you come into a satellite office instead of coming into Norristown. Satellite offices are open Friday and Monday afternoons and the weekend. You just got to do the full thing while you're here. And you can fix that at the satellite office and submit a new ballot. And then the other ballot you submitted with the deficiency will not be counted. Does this all make sense? I cover everything? Okay, great.
All right.
Of course.
I'm trying to explain it to other people, but I need, they call me and ask me questions.
Yeah, it's complicated for sure.
How secure this chain of custody will place one city. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So did we publish a list before of ballots that need to be cured?
Oh, the cure line.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, in the past, we've provided it to the parties directly, and now we are putting it on the website.
When was that decision made?
This year,
I didn't know anything about that.
there was an issue, giving it to just the parties doesn't give necessarily nonpartisan voters access to it. So it was an effort to make it more available to all voters.
Visible clearly?
We'll follow up and I'll send you the link. Yeah, and I mean, the easy link is just moncovotes.com. It forwards to our government address, but everything is right there. Mm-hmm.
If you could please give somebody your email. We don't have your email or number here. Okay. Okay, next up I can go on Zoom is Heather Honey. Heather, can you hear us?
Heather, can you hear us?
You need to unmute.
Okay, let's come back to
Okay,
Heather.
next up, we have Charles also on Zoom.
Charles, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Charles? Okay, he's okay.
Can you hear me?
Charles, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay. Yep.
Hello?
There you go.
There he is.
Can you hear me?
Charles?
He's talking.
I hear it.
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay.
Are you able to hear me?
Oh, there we go. All right, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Pennsylvania law requires the reconciliation of ballots to voters at two separate times during prior to the certification of the election. The first one is on election night when the poll workers have to compare the number of signatures in the poll book to the number of names on the numbered list of voters and the total number of ballots cast as indicated on the tabulator. Any discrepancies in the in-person voting at the polling place must be noted on the general return sheet. So this is the first of two separate reconciliation processes, and it is required by Title 25, Section 3031.13. In addition, prior to certification, the board must complete the second reconciliation process, which must include ballots cast by all voting methods, not just election day ballots. Title 25, Section 3154 requires that the board, before accepting results from any district, compare the number of persons who voted in each district to the total number of ballots cast. The board must review a list of unique persons who voted from each district prior to the certification of the election to be sure that the number of ballots does not exceed the number of unique people who voted. The purpose of this reconciliation requirement is to allow the board to identify errors or omissions prior to certifying the election results. It is easy to conflate the term precinct with polling location or polling place, but there is an important distinction. The PA election code uses the term district, which is defined as a geographic area or precinct within a municipality. Voters within an election district may vote by one of four methods, as they are coded in short as AP for at poll, or meaning in person at the polling place on election day, MB for mail ballot, AB for absentee ballot, or P for provisional. It is the duty of the Board of Elections to be knowledgeable of the law and to follow the laws of the Commonwealth. And in this instance, the law is clear that the board must review the number of persons who voted in each district and compare that to the total number of ballots cast in the district of all methods of voting. And nothing that was passed in Act 77 waived the requirement for the reconciliation of the entire district of all voting methods. So therefore, I am asking you to disclose the process that you intend to use to reconcile the number of voters to the number of ballots cast in each precinct for the upcoming election. I believe transparency is critical to restoring confidence in our elections, and Section 3154 is already required by law. We're respectfully asking the board to make a plan for how you intend to complete the reconciliation and make a commitment to ensure that the process and the results will be made public. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Charles.
No comment.
Okay. Next up.
Go back to Honey. I'm sorry, Heather Honey.
That'd be a cool first name. Heather, can you hear us? Heather? All right, let's go to Barbara. Barbara, can you hear us? Barbara?
She just unmuted.
Yep. Barbara, can you hear us? Yeah, she is.
Muted
She just
again.
muted again.
It's like,
Barbara? I know. All right, let's
is the volume all the way up on that?
okay. Barbara? Or Heather?
Everybody take off and say, here.
All right. All right, that's it. Okay.
What happened?
I don't think we can hear them, so we're gonna keep things going.
We try to
Try to what?
log in some other way.
I think yeah, we're gonna move on. Okay. All right, I'm gonna move to closing commissioner comments. Any comments?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we struggle so much with these Zoom call or meetings that the people call in. We hear this from time to time, or almost every meeting we hear this, that people are in Zoom and they can't get in, or they can't make comment, or they have trouble getting in. So we really need to address this as best we can in the future, quickly, I guess, in the near future. As we know that Dropbox and satellite offices and all that opened Friday, October 4th last week, right? Can't believe how fast October is going. And unfortunately, there's been I've been notified of a lot of different scenarios that have happened throughout Montgomery County related to a lot of these things. So I'm just going to go through these real quick. There was a table from Voter Services at the Willow Grove office, satellite office, set up at the Dropbox by an employee hanging out, leaning on the Dropbox and talking with voters. Not really sure why that happened. I did talk to Frank about it, and he said that that was addressed, so hopefully we won't see that again. There was a woman at Lower Marion who proudly was telling everyone that she's a retired attorney. She did talk about her party affiliation, which I'm not going to bring up because to me it's irrelevant, but she was standing at the Dropbox and interacting with voters as they were coming up and dropping off their Dropboxes. Someone entered the White Marsh satellite office at 11:10 and Friday night. They went in and a little while later they left carrying a big black bin, and they do have the license plate number. Someone who was contacted procured their ballot at the Lower Marion satellite office. They went in, and when they got there, they received a new ballot. So I guess that goes to the process of when people are called to cure their ballot, they get new ballots and the other one is discharged. I've asked for I'll come back to this one. There are multiple reports across the county where people are dropping off multiple ballots at the drop boxes. I witnessed two of these occurrences myself. When I was on Saturday, I went to visit some of the drop boxes and the satellite offices. The Willow Grove Annex lights are burned out. There's no lights or minimal lighting at the Green Lane drop box. In Rochford and Pottstown, the lighting was terrible. And it definitely sets up for very unsafe or situations for people that are coming. Has nothing to do with the Dropbox, but people are coming there to those Dropboxes at night. Very poor lighting. So I think it's something that we need to address to ensure that our people that are using those Dropboxes are safe. Because we heard from things that are occurring in Abington, for instance, over the last couple of weeks with people being that have nothing to do with voting, but people that were accosted or whatever it may be. So there was the designated agent form explanation for canvassing procedures is documented wrong in the van or the mobile satellite office. I did check with an attorney and I was correct where you need to have one designated agent form per ballot. And the way it's documented is you could have numerous ballots per one designated agent. Someone at the deposit multiple ballots in a Dropbox while our staff was there changing the locks at the 4-H Dropbox. We did hear a lot about the voter van, so I'm not going to go there. And there was multiple suspicious behaviors reported of somebody, a couple different places driving around in a hoodie and masks, driving up the drop boxes, leaving, coming back, driving up the drop boxes and leaving and coming back. And then finally, one thing I've asked for and I still haven't received is the budget, the costs for each of these satellite offices. We have roughly 6 people per satellite office, 4 days a week. So I really want to understand the operating cost, versus people served at these drop boxes. Because we haven't reviewed any numbers, for the operation of these facilities. And I really am curious to see what it's costing us. So we have issues out there, and I think that we have to figure out how we're going to address these. The biggest concern I have is multiple ballots being dropped off by people. I saw it, like I said, I experienced it myself. I was at the Pottstown satellite office. I was standing outside with the staff there when I was, one person was taking a break and the security officer was standing outside, and we were just talking. I think we were talking about the Phillies, actually, but we were just talking. And as we were talking, a person drove up, got out, had 3 ballots. And we just mentioned to him, you only could drop one of those ballots. You can only drop one ballot off. And he looked at me perplexed. And I said, well, if you have any questions, please contact Voter Services. So he did leave one ballot and left. And when I was pulled into another Dropbox location, right when I was pulling in, I watched a gentleman put in multiple ballots and left. So it's happening, and we need to figure out how we're going to rectify that situation.
Well, I should have come up with a list of all the great things our voter services team is doing.
Well, this has nothing to do with voter services.
Well, I mean, but it's a list of grievances that, we all collectively work hard to ensure that we're doing things the right way. And so, and there's a way in which we can escalate concerns, as a board. But I think when we do that, we run the risk of creating concerns in our community that the team that we have working day in and day out is not doing the necessary work to deliver on our election. You spoke. I'm gonna finish.
Yep.
So I want to combat that with any time that there's an issue that is raised to this board, we take every issue and concern seriously. And you have a forum to share that information with all of us, our chief clerk, our voter services team. So I just want to, I just want everybody to know that the team is working really hard to address any issues that are coming up. But we're also seeing a lot of success stories in terms of the work that we're doing to deliver on our election this November.
So first off, I'm not
going to get into it.
Well, I always compliment our voter service team for everything that they're doing. And as I mentioned, I did raise this, especially the Willow Grove table situation with Frank, and I said it was rectified. As a county commissioner, the community has reached out to me with these concerns, and I'm bringing these concerns because they want to make sure that I'm doing my job as a county commissioner. Sure. I'm not saying anyone's not doing their job. None of those words came out of my mouth.
But I would appreciate as a colleague, I don't hear about it for the first time here at the Board of Commissioners.
Well, there's lots of things I don't hear about, so let's not even go there. But I'm bringing these issues up because I want people to know that we're aware of it. We have to address these issues, and it's not a big deal, but we don't have to make it into a big deal. All I'm saying is it's occurring, and we need to just address the issues. That's it. I didn't disparage anybody.
So go ahead.
I'm just so thrilled and excited that people are voting in Montgomery County, and I think it's a great thing. And I visited all the satellite offices that I could on Sunday, and it was really inspiring to see people who are county employees in all different divisions. And we got people from the DA's office. I saw children and youth, the health departments, obviously voter services, overseeing the whole thing. But this is an all hands on deck operation. And I have to commend Lee, as well as our newest deputy COO, Stephanie Tipton, and Sarah Charles and Judy Trombetta for helping make this operation possible and increasing access to the ballot, which is the point. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories that have been developed over the last several years, especially to cast doubt on this process. I don't understand the obsession with drop boxes. There's 18 of them. They're all surveilled 24/7. There are 600 USPS mailboxes. No one's freaking out about the USPS mailboxes. And they can also be used to submit ballots. So I just want to convey the complete confidence that I have in the system. When you talk to someone like Frank Dean, our director of elections, and he had to be on a witness stand this week because of the conspiracy theories about voting machines, you come away with this complete respect for the process, the level of detail that he understands, the level of just professionalism throughout the office in everything they do. They do make sure every vote counts. They treat every ballot as if it's sacred, which it is. And I just think they're all doing an excellent job. And this weekend was a great example of that. And if there's one message that I have for the folks who are raising these concerns, even if you say, as you have, there's like suspicious behavior, no one's voting, no one's having their vote counted who is not eligible, is not registered, and is not someone we sent a ballot to. That's not happening here in Montgomery County. And we have so many safeguards. Every ballot, again, is barcoded individually. No one is printing ballots that aren't for a voter that isn't registered, that we haven't accounted for. So all of this is also checked after the fact with the audits that we do after every election. 2 audits, random audits, different machines, different makes and model. We have an incredible process that has worked for decades. It makes our country what it is. And I'm just proud to be a part of the team for this period of time.
So what we're saying, I just want to make sure we're clear because I want to know what I'm going to tell people. So what I'm saying is that we are supporting and allowing the drop off of multiple ballots because that's all I really talked about. So all that other stuff I wasn't addressing.
No, you had a list of
right, but
things
I'm
that you
really
talked about.
focused on the drop boxes.
Okay,
So we're saying that
nobody's saying that. We're saying that
Well, that's
as a board,
right.
right? There are issues.
All I'm saying is that we know that people are dropping off multiple ballots and we need to address the issue.
And you have no record of whether they have designated agent forms or not. So you
I
can't
don't need a record.
So no one can make an assumption that anything is happening.
See, this is why this is why people have these bring all this stuff up. Me personally, I don't need the designated agent form. If somebody has a designated agent form, that's what we're supposed to investigate when we see people dropping off multiple ballots. I didn't want to go and pull all the videos of all these situations or all these complaints because I don't want to go there. All I'm saying is that
we can pull the videos, but you're bringing this up at
all
Board of
I'm saying
Commissioners
is-
meeting, and it's the first time we're hearing about the concerns. So
Well,
there's a way in which we can address concerns as a board,
Right.
right?
Well,
So if I have a
unfortunately,
concern, I go to Lee and I ask Lee, this concern has happened. Can you get me information about it?
I don't need information. All I'm saying is that we have people dropping off multiple ballots that we need to have it addressed. That's all.
Well, we're a guest in Montgomery Township, so yeah. So Lee, can you just make sure that you get that, the instances, if you have record of the instances?
Yeah,
all
I mean, if you want to start pulling the tapes, I'll give you
Pull
all
the
the
tapes.
tapes. All right.
All right, so
was
I
more
just
focused
want
on moving forward.
I
We'll go back.
No, we're not going back. So, I just want to thank the colleagues in Montgomery Township for having us. I want to thank you for the lively discussion. Those that spoke at public comments. It's always great hearing different perspectives, different concerns, and these forums allow us to hear what's on everybody's mind and how we can make things a bit better at the county. So I want to thank you for hanging with us for 2.5 hours. So we have a short board meeting right after this. It's like literally short. So just bear with me for probably 5 more minutes and we'll close things out. So the next Board of Commissioners meeting is Thursday, October 24th at 10 a.m. back in our boardroom. And so I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the October 10th, 2024 meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner DeBello. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Let's welcome up our First Deputy Controller, Tom Landauer. Huh? You can. Yeah, yeah.
Can we?
No, I don't think so. All right, any public comment for salary board? No? Okay. All right, I'd like to bring up Catherine Halen to review the salary board list.
Good evening, salary board members. You have in front of you the salary board list. It is a 4-page document and with a timestamp of October 9th, 2024, 10:37 a.m. All transactions have been reviewed by management and are presented for your approval.
Great. I'd like to make a motion to approve the October 10th salary board presentation as given by Ms. Catherine Halen. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, oh, I'm not used to hearing you second it, by Tom Landauer. Any board comments? Moving to a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, Montgomery County Employee Voter Services Pay.
We are presenting the election pay policy, so all employees who have agreed to work during the election process will be paid as outlined by the policy that has been presented.
Great. I'd like to make a motion to approve the election pay policy as outlined by Ms. Catherine Halen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBello. Any board comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the October 10th, 2024 meeting of the Montgomery County Salary Board. Is there a second? Is there a second? Seconded by Tom Landauer. Any board comment? Moving to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thanks everyone for being here.